So welcome back to the July installment. We were just talking about the August installment, so that's why that happened. Welcome to the July installment of Three Girls, One Deck. In this case, it's Three Girls, One Guest, because we are joined by the wonderful Laura from Aquamarine 18. We are so excited to have her on the call here. So anyway, welcome everybody. We'll take a look at who we have in the chat. In order to do that, I need to navigate StreamYard, which I struggle with. So looks like so far we've got La La Love Song. Hello. And we'll start to see who else shows up. But I know that we are live and good to go. So I once again, we did not rock, paper, scissors to see who goes first, but I'm assuming we should let our guest go first this time around. So we have a little bit of a theme today. We wanted to specifically talk about some decks that we associate with summer because it's the height of summer. So we thought it would be fun to kind of pick decks around a theme, and we'll go ahead and hand it off to Laura to start talking about summer decks.
Oh my goodness, I get to be first. Okay.
No pressure.
Good.
No pressure at all.
Hello.
Really? Yeah, sorry.
Maybe I'm first.
Navigating StreamYard takes me a second always.
Sorry. Just cut me off if I ramble for too long, because I will. So summer decks, I picked for my summer deck to share. I picked The Next World Tower by Christy C. Road, which is a deck that I love. This is the mini one, but I'll show the cards from the big one. I don't have the big box anymore because I got a great Kelly pouch for it. And this is a deck that probably a lot of folks have seen. I think that the big one is 2017 in terms of when it came out. And this is a deck that is a summer deck for me. I guess I should show some cards. I have an order, so I don't want to mess them up too much. But this is a deck that for me is a summer deck for a couple of reasons. It is full of bright colors, which feels summery to me. It is a deck that travels with me a lot in the summer because it's one that, in terms of doing readings for friends and things like that, this would be one that I would go to and that my friends would be probably more interested in than a lot of other decks that I have in my collection. And Christy C. Road would be an artist that a lot of folks that I know would know or know of. I like that there's a mini, which is, for summer and traveling around. Done a lot less of in the last 2 years, but a little bit is good. But one of the reasons, I think, besides just the fact that it's colorful and I use it in the summer, is because for me, summer is associated with fire, and in revival druidry, summer is associated with fire. And fire for me, in terms of the wand suit, but also just kind of magically speaking, has to do with motivation and passion and creativity and generativeness and burning the shit down and making space for new things. And this is a deck that to me, does that. And the Ace of Wands, bursting through concrete as the roots of fire is a good symbol for that. I think in the druidry group that I'm a part of, we have kind of 7 principles that go with different elements. And the one that goes with fire is tools for today. And so thinking about tools for today, thinking about what it means or looks like to have a kind of nature-based spiritual or magical kind of practice in the context of ecological crisis, and having the tool to kind of deal with the guilt and the rage and also do something productive in that context. And I think that this deck, for all kinds of reasons, is a deck that goes with that for me. And the guidebook talks about this deck. And I know people talk about this deck a lot as a like a post-apocalyptic or like apocalyptic deck. And the guidebook, though, talks about this deck as illustrating the end of the world as we know it, which is to me a very different thing than illustrating the end of the world, right? And maybe the end of the world as we know it in this kind of context of this deck is a pretty cool thing to think about, actually. And I feel like, someone in the chat asked, does the second pocket edition come with the book? And it does. The book is very tiny.
Yeah.
But I also know, like, this is a deck that I feel like people think of this deck a lot of the time as one that's like very themed or like very strongly themed in some ways. But I feel like this is a deck that like looks the most like my life. Like the Emperor is a teacher surrounded by like feminist books that I've taught when I was working in that context. The Three of Wands is this like librarian figure, similarly with, you know, they're holding an anthology readings for diversity and social justice, which is that blue and gray book, like right there. It's full of musical instruments and like, you know, been in plenty of rooms that look like that. Planning meetings. I'm really shaky today. Planning meetings, organizing meetings, leg hair. I love a deck with leg hair. And in the summer, like you know, there's like something, it's like a summer wind in the leg hair is a good feeling. You know, this person has a Crass tattoo, which is, you know, something that's going to be familiar, and like a limp wrist t-shirt and just lots of cool piercings and tattoos and gardening and things that I
It's
feel
so
like
sorry, go ahead.
that my life is comprised of, you know, and I like that about this deck. And I feel like it's also why, you know, it's a deck to read with for friends. Like, it makes a lot of sense.
It's not a deck. I guess I never thought of the Next World Tarot as like post-apocalyptic or anything, but it feels always to me like now and the near future, you know. It's a deck that kind of encompasses a direction we could go, you know. Like, I've never seen it as like an apocalyptic direction. I guess it's like this is a deck that captures a path we could be on, you know, in all of its good and its bad and its, you know, and its various possibilities. So that's, I don't know. It's interesting that people say post-apocalyptic about that deck. So
I think it's because, I mean, I can see it both ways. You know, the end as we know it, post-apocalyptic, just the idea that there's like, it always seems like there's ruin in the background. And that was one of the things I didn't understand without the context. I'm like, why do they always look like they're in a junkyard? I don't understand this. Like, why is that the backdrop? And then when, like, I think it was Heather that said, well, this is supposed to be, you know, within this context of, like post-apocalyptic or, you know, end of the world, whatever. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Okay, now that makes a lot more sense.
And there's a lot of like strangely sized animals. Like there's this kind of huge, you know,
rodent
hamster.
Like,
there's a lot of that. There's a lot of ruins for sure.
Yeah,
in this deck.
Which I guess it's like just where we're
crumbling, right?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
things crumbling and that's like, what does that make space for, and what can you build in that space of like clearing things out of the way?
Well, and maybe it just is because it feels to me like we are sort of living through an apocalypse right now. Like it feels, I don't know, it feels very present and current. Like that's how I always think about it. So and
I guess I'll just say like this.
How easy is it to see the images on the smaller one? Because I have the larger one, which I love, but it's huge.
The small deck, I will say, is small. Like it is a really mini. I'll just grab. I have a playing card here, just for the sake of comparison. I have it like to a playing card. It's taller, but it's the same width.
Oh wow!
So that's the brown is the playing card.
That's really small.
It's really small.
For that much image. Yeah.
I will say I was really hoping with the mini that they would make it borderless. Because the one thing that I don't love about this deck, the one thing is that I don't like keywords. and it has them. I find them unobtrusive. They're small. They're small. They, and the image is and on the big deck, the image is so big and the keyword is so small that it's very easy to just ignore them. I was really kind of hoping before this came out that they would just not have it. And I'm thinking about lopping the bottoms off and making it a really mini, because the back, you could. It would just take a little bit of the brown off.
Yeah.
And you could cut off just the bottom and leave the titles on the top, and it wouldn't even, like, the back wouldn't even look that weird to me.
No, it wouldn't.
Or you could cut the thing out completely. But yeah, some of them, I mean, I can still read the title on the spine of the book in this card on the small one.
Yeah.
Without squinting too hard. The titles on the books on the floor, maybe not so much. But
that was another. So I would say I've actually owned this deck already twice, and I've had 3 issues with it. I first bought the mini, couldn't see it, but I have absolutely atrocious eyesight, and it's just very, very bad. So the mini I couldn't see, and then I bought the big one, and the big one is so big that I couldn't even get my hands around it sideways. It was so big, I couldn't do anything with it. And then also that Ace of Cups just bothers me. I get really stressed out by the Ace of Cups.
I think I must have big hands because I can easily end to end.
Oh my gosh, I could not do that. Not even,
With the big one,
did not do that.
shuffle in a standard way. And it's soft enough that you could.
Yeah. I guess my hands are small because I could not even close to get my hands around it lengthwise and even crosswise, which I don't like working with decks that way. It just, I don't know, feels.
Can we show I'll show the Ace of Cups if Sarah covers her eyes. That is the disliked card.
Yeah. If you have trypophobia, look away.
Yeah. It's holes. It's
doesn't bother me. I think it was the 10 of Swords that really trips me up. That creeps me out. I'm not.
It's a backstabby 10 of Swords.
It's really just
very much so.
Yeah, I would never want to pull that card.
It's not a hug deck, I would say, in some ways.
No.
But there's so many cards I feel like that do something interesting, especially thinking about it. It's definitely Smith-Waite kind of inspired, but thinking about what this as a 6 of Pentacles redistributing emergency supplies does, as opposed to this 6 of Pentacles in the Smith-Waite, which always looks to me like the most patronizing, violent form of charity possible, with people on their knees,
it's awful.
And so to see people, handing out water bottles and street medics and things like this, it's this is, I like that there's an elder in the 6 of Cups and children. I think that's just great.
Fighting for control.
Yeah, Julie and I are fighting. Yeah, you can do it, Julie, if you want.
No, it's fine.
But we're clicking the same comment on and off and on and off and on and off and on and off. The one thing I love the lovers in that deck.
Yeah, I do love that.
It's my favorite. It might be it's my favorite lovers ever.
Yeah.
It might be one of my favorite cards ever. Favorite cards of any card of any deck.
I absolutely love that card.
I think I'm the only one who doesn't have this. I never had this deck because Sarah, you had it twice. Heather, you have the large.
I have it. Yeah, I have the large. Yeah.
So I don't know. I just feel like the size would be an issue. Both sizes, one would be too hard on my old eyes. The other one would be too much for my T-Rex hands. And then on top of that, I will say, I feel bad for feeling this way because I know that this is such an instrumental deck. It's an important deck, and it sounds so shallow, but art style wise, it doesn't really call to me. So I would kind of be afraid that I just wouldn't be drawn to pick it up just because it's a lot to look at with the eye. There's just so much detail, and it's
there's definitely decks that I feel that way about too.
Yeah,
it's not something
I think that's perfectly reasonable, right? When ultimately the whole point of tarot is how you connect or
Mhm.
with the images in whatever way. Otherwise, we would all just buy playing cards and we wouldn't buy tarot decks. So I think you can appreciate the style of the deck. You can appreciate the inclusivity in it and all of those kind of things, and still be very open about the fact that on a personal level, it just doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
And both of those things can exist at the same time.
True. Very true.
And I think for me, this deck is like Christy C. Rhodes' art was already very familiar before I ever knew she was working on a deck. You know, she's done so many other things, and coming out of kind of zine culture and things like that. It's like, it's a very familiar kind of style. So like, it appeals to me in a, like, not quite nostalgic, but in a very kind of, this is my kind of milieu kind of way that I can see would totally not be the case for everyone at all.
So, sorry, go ahead, Julie.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, we just have this comment from Tarot and Witchery about the idea that the deck might hit hard. And I'm curious if you feel that way about it, Laura.
When it needs to. I mean, because I also feel like there's so much love in this deck, and there's so much like hopefulness in this deck, and it's like you know, and it's like, I don't know, like Octavia Butler's work hits hard, but it's also like, it's so future oriented, and it's so hopeful, right? Like this, like, amazing, like, Not a Baby on a Horse sun card, you know. There's so much joy, and like this one is like, oh, you know, like sometimes it, for these kinds of cards, can feel a little bit like a hug deck at times for all of its kind of familiarity. You know, it's a world that I can make sense of.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's not a, I mean, I don't know if I don't personify my decks in the ways, like, think of them as having different personalities necessarily, but it's not one that's going to let you maintain your nonsense, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If that means it's hard hitting, so be it.
Yeah.
I can totally relate to what Sarah from Waterchild Tarot is saying, because that's just the environment, the backdrop is always like, what? It just, that was what first kind of turned me off to it in the beginning, despite the fact that it was so many other aspects of it were wonderful. I'm like, but why does it have to look so dirty? Why do they always have to look like they're immersed in like a dirty environment? Like, I don't understand. I mean, now I do understand the context, but it's
But it's like, it's there's like garbage everywhere, right?
Yeah.
It is.
But then at the same time, that's, I mean, I was just watching a, documentary the other day that, well, not a documentary. I was watching Shark Fest on Disney Plus, they don't really count as documentaries, really, but it mentioned the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Like, the world that we live in is actually starting to look like that in a lot of places. So
that's true.
It feels like a deck that really kind of takes the world as it is in all of the in a lot of the bad directions that we're going in right now, but still kind of shows you a vision of hopefulness even within that ugly direction we're in, and also shows you a vision of how we could maybe, when you think about like the Tower card in that deck and the Judgment card in that deck, like some visions of like things that can be done to change that direction. So so I think that that's a really cool aspect of it.
Yeah.
And see, I really like it. I mean, I love post-apocalyptic fiction anyway. It's a big love of mine. But I also I really like the idea that it confronts, which is why I like post-apocalyptic fiction, is that sometimes you have to allow shit to burn to the ground in order to be able to fix it and rebuild it for something better. I think that's something for me that this deck illustrates really, really well.
Yeah.
So April had a good question about like, when do you use this deck? So Sarah, you had it, but now you no longer.
I know
Laura. So, but when you did have it, like, when would you grab for it? And same with Laura, like, in what context do you pull this deck out to use it? Since it is, the themes are not just the run of the mill, like mundane, you know what I mean? It's
I never got to the point with it that I was able to use it in any kind of like
Oh, okay.
consistent way, because just because of the form factor of it. Just
Gotcha.
the small deck I couldn't see and the big deck I couldn't shuffle. So I was just like, like it, we just never got off the ground basically because I had such a hard time working with it physically. So
Okay. And then Laura,
I would say for me, it's fine. Like because of how the people look and the clothing and all the rest of it. Like there is actually something quite like mundane world about this deck for me
Oh,
in
okay.
ways that other decks don't have. Like
Mhm.
this is full of people wearing T-shirts of bands that I've seen. Like this is kind of so definitely reading for other people for sure. I've done like birthday readings with this deck. I've done. I do have a daily tarot practice, but that is mostly my kind of 2 cards of the day, and that I kind of rotate decks out on a weekly or bi-weekly basis depending. So I might have a week. It would probably be a summer week, 'cause it's a summery deck to me with this one, but particularly when I'm like out and about with other folks would be when I would pull this out. And I can see an argument in the other direction where like with a card like the 10 of Swords and some of the confronting, like that this might not be a deck that for a lot of folks would want to pull out this deck for other people.
Can you show the 10 of Swords for anybody who's not familiar with that lovely image that just gives me nightmares every time I see it?
I think your question, Julie, goes back to something Laura was saying earlier, where like you mentioned, Laura, that it seems like a lot of people see this deck as maybe heavily themed, and it doesn't to you feel that way. And I totally see where you're coming from on that. Like it doesn't. It just feels like a depiction of the world, like there's a lot of different elements to the world, and there's so many different aspects of the world that are just captured there that it feels kind of general, honestly.
It does. And it's like, okay, I'll show the 10 of Swords if Julie now covers it.
Yeah, it's rough stuff.
It's a
Nope.
And
I'm
I'll say
broken because I look at that card and I'm like, yeah, I don't understand what the big deal is. It's just a person with swords in their back. Like,
Look at their face. Look at their face.
well, I mean, a lot of decks have that 10 of Swords, 10 swords in the back. And it's something that I don't love decks to do in general when the sword suit feels really negative. But I don't find the sword suit in this deck to be more negative than the others necessarily. And I like the 3 of Swords. Does have 3 swords going into a heart, but like the heart has band-aids on it and is kind of regenerating, and there's more going on there, I think, than just especially if you use your finger to cover up the sorrow keyword.
I think you need to just cut off those keywords, Laura. Like it's.
I'm thinking about. I might try it on the bottom. I might, or on the bottom of the small deck. I might. It would be very small then.
Is there like a title card where you could maybe
There isn't. There isn't.
No.
And I'm not a confident deck modder. I've trimmed 1 deck. And it's because it was so water damaged that the edges were stuck together because I left it on a windowsill and then there was rain. That it would have been trash if I didn't try to trim it. So like I'm terrified of trimming decks. I'll edge, but nope. I'm scared.
See, now I'm the same. So I'm kind of like this with all my decks though. I tend to it's very rare for me that I have like a deck that I read for these types of reading and a deck that I read for these types of reading. I tend to just go to my shelf when I want to do a reading and just pick a deck that I like.
That's kind of what I do too. Yeah.
So for me, there isn't a specific time when I use this deck, but I have to agree with Laura, who hopefully will be able to get back on in a minute.
Yeah.
That it does, although it does have that post-apocalyptic vibe, I do think it still has that real world, very down to earth kind of mundane feeling about it as well. Like it is just a particular section of the world that we probably already live in. So it reads quite well for pretty much anything, I think.
Okay. So on TK, Krista is saying this deck was the first deck I ever loved and felt seen in. Yeah,
totally.
Remember that.
And I can see why that would be true for
Yeah.
so many people, like so many people.
Oh, Laura's still here, just a camera issue.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I am coming around to perhaps giving. I think I would want the large version though. You know,
Yeah.
because I would have to be able to see, the details and
As between the two, I mean, because it is so detailed. It is so detailed. And
exactly.
as between the two, the large version was better,
Yeah.
like I could actually see what was going on, but I just struggled so much to work with it that I would just like never pick it up, it just so so maybe someday I'll give it another try.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I feel like I don't see it as post-apocalyptic, but as a fantastic fortune where freedom is. Oh, that sounds. You guys are bringing me around to this. Y'all are bringing me around.
Yay, we have Laura back. Yay.
I think, Julie, I think if you were going to get it, I've not worked with the mini, but my personal recommendation would be to try the large one and see how you get on.
I would try.
Because I think it's just so detailed.
Exactly.
I think the smaller one, if you're not used to the images already, I wonder if the smaller one you would end up losing a lot.
I feel like I would. And Liz from West Star Tarot was saying that she can shuffle it like sideways.
Yeah, I'll shuffle it side to side because I've obviously got smaller hands than Laura, I think, which I always thought I had big hands, but
yeah. This one's not a challenge for me, and I really like.
Don't stretch. They don't stretch to that.
No, I don't either. How big are your? My goodness, your hands are. I'm just impressed.
Yeah, I think I would get the large version, and I can find other ways to shuffle. I don't need to.
You can do end to end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that. Yeah.
Like I mean, there is a fair amount of border even on the large edition, and maybe if you wanted to get rid of the keywords on that one too,
I could
theoretically trim it.
Yeah.
As well. So yeah.
So okay, I will think about it.
And I was just going to say, I really like what Auntie Kay's tarot said about it being a future where freedom is close, because I think that what the book, like when the book says like this is not, it's not the end of the world, it's the end of the world as we know it. Like for freedom to be close, the end of the world as we know it is a thing that has to happen. Right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely. All right, I'm coming around more. I'm coming around. I mean, it really largely was the huge or small cards. I'm just like, oh, I can't. Why though?
Come out with this one. It was like right in the middle. Yeah. Sorry, Laura, I interrupted you again.
I love the huge ones. I do find this with my eyesight, the small ones are a little bit challenging, but like for travel, it's perfect.
Well, and I imagine especially once you've worked with the big one, if you know the deck really well, it makes it a lot easier to probably work.
True.
I didn't actually realize the mini one was so mini. I think in my head they had you had the size that I've got, and then they reprinted them in like a normal tarot size. But
it's
really they've gone from one to the other.
Yeah, it's minuscule.
You could get 4 cards. The big one is the size of 4 little ones.
Almost.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference.
Wow.
Yeah. All right.
Woohoo.
So, do we have a volunteer to go next?
I'll go.
Go for it, Julie.
I shall go.
All right.
So mine is actually one that Laura just recently bought. So excited. But I believe Heather was, I think you said, Heather, that you thought it was weird looking.
I can't remember what deck it is, so I'll tell you when you tell me what deck it is.
It is, hold on, let me see. Do I have it? I might have some.
I've forgotten.
It is Tarot of the Cat People by Joie Kendall. So
I think the exact words I used were fucking weird looking.
Yeah, fucking weird looking. Quote unquote. Absolutely. So, okay. The reason I chose this as a summer deck is because world building wise, like just the scenery, the different regions that these cat people live in, it's very like arid, and it just has this feel of like arid, and there's like sand and rock, and so it just has that feel for me, like a more of like a desert like feel, just like hot sun. There's like a lot of, fire and starbursts when it comes to like the cats. And it's amazing. And, of course I use this deck year round, but it does give me summer vibes. And so this is this US Games? I think.
Yeah, it's US Games.
So it comes with a little white book now. There is this out of print traveler's report, which is the more comprehensive guidebook that just gives you the rundown of everything you could possibly want to know about the civilization. And I've said this on my channel before about this deck, which is that it is just, if you're a fan of like old school sci-fi, like sci-fi shows, sci-fi novels, like 90s, early 2000s, like this is that vibe for me. This is, I've said it before, this is like my Star Trek TNG vibe. And I just, it just really transports you into a different world. And they're cats. I mean, come on, they're freaking cats. And that's what I as someone who struggles with just in general animal themed decks, I feel like I get like the best of both here, because we do have cats, but they're not like the sole focus in a sense. I mean, you also have people, and the Terror of the Cat People. So it's their relationship with these cats. So it's cats. So it's like this kind of symbiotic relationship between the two. And so it's just a great deck. It feels RWS to me, though. I think Justice and Strength are switched, which is usually like a frothy thing.
Or a Marseille thing. I mean,
or a Marseille thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Or a Marseille thing. And Andrew's asking, do you feel the book is necessary? I think you can do with just the little white book. I do think that it gives just enough, the little white book pretty much gives snippets of the traveler's report verbatim, mostly. But the traveler's book, like report, if you want to totally nerd out, like completely nerd out, that is certainly, I'm not sure, it's out of print, but I didn't have a hard time finding it, but this was a few years ago. So I don't know how hard it is to find now.
We've got some folks saying in the comments that the book is really kind of going for a lot of money right now, even
that's too bad
versions of it. So like Ange says, she's seeing it for $100.
Oh my gosh.
Meg says she's seeing it for like $90.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. Well,
I really lucked out. I lucked out with
You
my copy.
really did.
I found it at the shop, and it was not even on the out of print shelf, and it was the box set with that book in it, and I certainly did not pay $90. I did not pay $90 Canadian, like not even close.
Yeah. Oh, that's a shame. But I also think that you can do without. It goes just a lot into, again, the civilization itself, and in ways that does lend insight to some of the details. The relationship between certain cats that are depicted. Panthers and leopards versus the Kati cats, which are the main cats you see here, and just like the different status of some of the figures, the human figures depicted, and what the headdresses might mean or signify, what the type of robe might signify. I don't think that really, not having that information hinders from a great reading with this deck, though. So I'm just all about this deck. All about it. And I've said this before too, that it doesn't feel like a deck that worships youth. It is more of a deck where I feel like tradition and custom and wisdom through growth and aging, like those are all things that are revered in this civilization, which you don't get a lot of in a lot of the decks these days, I feel. So yeah, I just love everything about it. So, yeah. All right, I'm gonna shut up now.
Interestingly to me, the reason that this deck would feel like it has a summer vibe to me is because it feels like all of the book covers of like 90s book sci-fi paperback book covers of all of the books that I spent every summer devouring when I was a kid. So like that, I mean, that is the summer vibe that it brings to me. It brings the summer vibe of like spending my summers in the library, you know, like, yeah, which I love. So
yeah, absolutely. It's great. And it's this older US game stock or card game stock, US games card stock, where it's more like bendy. It's like this thinner, less stiff card stock. And so I can riffle shuffle. It's everything about it is just amazing. Like it fits my hands well. It's great. It's great. So I highly recommend Heather and Sarah, if you have not already thought of purchasing this.
I have.
Do you have it as well? Am I the only person who doesn't have
I just got it recently. So yeah. And but I really want to. I'm the same way. I really, really want a copy of the book because that is the thing that really appealed to me was this concept of like this sort of sci-fi like world building around the deck. And so I'm on the lookout for a copy of the book. The deck wasn't very expensive, so I grabbed a copy.
Oh, you said you bought the deck? I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I have it, but I haven't worked with it yet.
Why did you not tell me? Oh my God.
Oh, well, no. Like I said, I haven't worked with it yet because I am similarly on the hunt for a copy of the book. So,
well,
I'll quite comfortably be the outlier here and say, I am never buying this deck.
Never say never. Never say why. Why?
Because I don't like it.
Okay, so what is it that you don't like? Just because they're weird looking?
No, I just don't like the art style. I mean, I'm not really. I do like sci-fi, but I don't really like old. I haven't really read or any old sci-fi, but I'm not really into old sci-fi programs like Star Trek and that kind of thing. Yeah. And I don't want it. Is the short answer. I just don't like it.
It's all right.
Well, I am, and that's why it appealed to me because like I've run out of Star Trek. I've run out of Star Trek a few times at this point. So right now I'm actually watching Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda with Kevin Sorbo.
Kevin Sorbo?
Because why not?
Yeah.
And I haven't compared whether the little white book has all of this information in the guidebook. But when I was going through this deck when I got it, there are some cards that are very straightforwardly Smithway, like you read with no problem. And then there's others where it's like, why is there this like flaming cat head in a force field looming over the back?
Because it's a sign of hope.
But the book tells you. This is the thing. The book tells you, which I appreciate. I want every book to tell me why you would pick a flaming cat head. I'm never going to be mad at it, but I want to know why it's there. Exactly. And the book does give you that in a way that makes sense. Right. And I think it does have some of the, some of that old sci-fi and the early Star Trek in these episodes would try to do something like interesting about gender or something like that, and it would be a wild miss, like it's like, oh, we tried, and like there is a little bit of that in this deck for sure. But it feels like that period sci-fi to me, and I like it for
definitely.
that.
I like modern. Don't get me wrong, I'm really into modern sci-fi. I'm just not like 90s sci-fi, 70s, 90s sci-fi. Although I have to say, Wrath of Khan was one of my favorite films as a child, which films I like, but I watched them, but I never loved them. I've never been a Trekkie or, a big sci-fi fan. I can't remember any of the characters' names.
Oh.
Well, Captain Picard. That's the only name that comes to my head. It's the only one I can remember.
So this Traveler's Report was published in 1991, just to give context on like how old. So it is. It definitely shows.
It reads like it.
But
I'm so glad I looked, because when I heard Terror of the Cat People, I knew you had it. I knew you liked this deck, and I heard Terror of the Cat People, and immediately my brain went to something like Chris Ann's Terror of Curious Creatures, and I was just like, "Fuck no!" Like never.
No.
Sorry, Candy. Like I know, no.
I'm coming for you.
In no universe will I own a deck that is all no.
Exactly. Nope. You're safe there.
Julie, can you show the devil card?
Oh yes, the devil card. Sure, if I can find it, it'll be one of
Or
those.
is it a different deck they're talking about? Oh, she might. Alicia might be talking about a different deck, actually.
Oh.
Meg says it's the only.
Oh, I think it's the Soul Cats.
Yeah.
I actually just got that deck. It was a lovely gift, and I look forward to, because that's the same artist as the Soul Smoke, Ash and Ember. Smoke.
Yes. Oh, the Adam Ohlers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oak, Ash.
Yeah. Oak, Smoke, Ash and Ember, and Oak, Ash and Thorn. Yeah.
Those two.
Yeah.
And so I really love his artwork. So.
Yeah. How do you pronounce his surname? Somebody, please tell me.
I believe it's Adam Ohlers.
Okay.
Okay. Gotcha. So, do we still want to look at the devil?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, so Krista says she's seen it for sale. So yeah, I think the deck itself is like totally in print via US Games, and it's readily available. It's either like the book or the deck book set, like the actual big book. It's the big book that's really hard to find because the book aspect of it is out of print. And it's one of those decks where, again, like, I know that the Little White Book, as Laura said, that there is quite a bit of information in the Little White Book, but because the deck is so much about world building, and it really is this sort of like sci-fi world that the deck is building. That's the reason why I really want the book, because that's the thing that really appealed to me about the deck.
Yeah.
I read on
that bugs me about this deck, and it doesn't bug me about this deck, it's like a purely personal thing, but everybody's going on about how they hear Tarot of the Cat people and they're glad that it's not like cat heads on people, which I'm also glad at. But I hear Tarot of the Cat people and I want cat people, not people who own fucking cats. Who owns cats? I don't want a deck like that. I want cat people.
I don't want that. No, yeah, but no.
If you're gonna give me a world and set it that so that it looks like it's set on a whole nother planet, on a galaxy somewhere else, I want actual cat people, please.
Then you should buy the Black Cat Tarot, because that is pretty much what you're looking for, I think.
Yeah.
When I say I want it, I don't actually want it.
You expect it. You're saying you expect it. Yeah.
I can see that from the title, how the title could be misleading. Yeah, I can see that.
I read, and I don't know if it was online or if it was in the book, in the deck book that I read this. Apparently there are novels about cat people.
Yes.
Have you found any of them?
I haven't really looked.
No.
Quite frankly.
I'm curious.
Maybe one day. Yeah, maybe you can look and let me know if they're worth reading. Because I'm just happy with my deck. So I'm I recommend.
Well, then now my brain is going into like scary places of Cats, the movie, and visuals. So can we move on?
The Black Cat Tarot looks it's like cats, but with weirdly human-shaped bodies.
Yeah,
they have fur on them, and it's like the movie Cats, and it really, really freaks me out. So yeah, that one.
That's where my brain's just gone. I'm like, no, I don't. It's like to feel a little uncomfortable.
Still reads very nice.
Yeah, see, I think a tarot of people who love cats and have cats would be fun. And I love there's a I think it's 9 of Pentacles in the Thea's tarot, and it's a person lounging on a sofa with a cat on the end and a drink, and I was like, yes, this is my 9 of Pentacles.
Exactly.
My 9 of Pentacles moment.
Yeah.
I would do a whole deck of that.
Me too.
Oh, for sure. Oh, totally.
Me too.
All right. So, any other thoughts about Tarot of the Cat people?
I think there are some in Doctor Who. Yeah, I think there is a Doctor Who episode with actual cat people. MA.
All right. Well, who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
Okay,
I'll go next. I don't have the box or anything for mine, but can anybody else hear an echo? Is that just me?
I do hear an echo.
Yeah, okay. That's fine. As long as it's not my hearing going, I'm kind of okay with that. So, mine is the Joie de Vivre Tarot by Paulina Cassidy. I can't do this. It's all the wrong way around. This is one of those decks where it's the same kind of thing. There's the coloring of this deck very much just feels summery for me. It's got a really summery vibe to it. I love Paulina Cassidy's artwork. I think this is the second Paulina Cassidy deck that I have spoken about in one of these lives. In fact, I love
Yes.
it so much. And this is also a US game, so it comes with a little white book. But I love, my favorite thing about this deck is that in the little white book, every single character in the card has a name and has, like, she tells you in the guidebook what they're doing. Like, it's so cute. It just, like, I don't really have any like deep and meaningful reasons why I love this deck or why it's a summer deck. I think I do grab it more in summer than any other time.
I can see that. It's like flowers and soft.
Yes. It's soft and pretty and cute and just really nice colors. And some of them do look a bit creepy.
I was gonna say that. Like some of them are bordering on the creep factor.
Yeah, the devil. I love the devil card. I don't know if I've gone past it already because I'm not really looking because it's back to front and I'm confused. But I like the strength card in this one. A lion with wings. Like, who is that?
That is cute. That is cute.
There's so many cards in this one that I love. Death card.
Yeah, this is one of those ones that I've always liked. I
Cat person.
Yeah, a cat person. I had the other Paulina Cassidy deck, the Paulina Tarot, and that was another one where I just like visually had a little bit of a hard time with it, but I think it was more that it felt kind of like samey across the entire deck in terms of the color palette and stuff. So it was hard for me to like look at a card and look at the artwork and immediately tell whether it was the King of Wands or the King of Pentacles. You know, like it all felt a little bit kind of blendy. So I did struggle with that one, but I really love her artwork, and this is another one that I've definitely looked at before.
And I think it does have the same a bit with that, where it's got like, it's sometimes difficult to immediately look at the card and know what card it is, but then other times, like I think like the Six of Swords, I think is fairly obvious what the card that is.
Right.
But it's got so many cards I love. I love the Queen of Swords in this one is one of my favorites. She just looks so evil. but like Alice in Wonderland sort of evil.
Oh yeah, I can totally see that.
It's just like,
I love her dress.
Like a bitch. She really does look like a bitch, but I love that. And I like the devil, although it creeps me out a little bit because it's puppets and stuff I don't really like.
I like how you started with the deck being cute and soft and sweet, and now it's
like
creepy bitch. Like, I like that.
Even Heather's aesthetic, though, like you're all about the creepy cute. Yeah.
As am I, actually.
Yeah.
And I really like Paulina Cassidy's artwork. I just think, again, the eyesight thing, like I feel like, I'm not sure if the background details are going to matter or not.
There is actually a huge amount of background detail.
Oh, okay.
Which I think
a lot of foliage
we had with the other one as well.
Yeah.
Because she completely colors in the back of her decks.
Okay.
It looks like there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
But when you actually look at the visual, everything is really at the front of the card.
Oh, okay.
There's not all that much going on in the back. Look.
Okay. I like that. I do like
Another
that
cat person. I'm going to find all the cat people in this deck just to prove a point.
Maybe she should have renamed that deck then.
Yeah, but then we would have complained because it's got like weird crocodile things in it and stuff.
That's true. But yeah, it's good.
And it is one of those decks that it's, even when it's creepy, it's cute. And that's totally my thing. Totally my thing. And yeah, I don't know what I was going to say then. I feel like I was going to say something and it's gone.
So which one do you like better? Because how many do you have? You have Joy to
I have two.
And was it Spirit Song that you have?
Yeah.
So you prefer this one over Spirit Song?
Yes. Yeah, I like both, but I like them for very, very different reasons. And Spirit Song reads very, very differently to any other deck that I own. I think because it's got the keywords and it is like a really gentle. Even the cards that are normally a bit more difficult, like the Tower and the Three of Swords, she's done them in a very gentle, soft, positive way. This deck doesn't do that. Like the Three of Swords is the Three of Swords. There's no like, but it's okay. Let's move this positive twist. It's just like, yeah, it's a Three of Swords. Deal with it. They're very different, even though they're by the same artist. I think if I had this one and the Paulina, they would be very similar. Though they feel very, very similar in terms of style.
Okay, good to know.
Sorry, I just had to pop up Chris's comment because creepy bitches can't Gemini. Any Gemini. Here we have
Chris and our Gemini.
Yep.
On point. On point.
All right. Love it.
Right. Cool.
Yeah, I don't have a huge amount to say about this deck, clearly, other than it's cute and it's creepy and I like it.
I like it too. I don't know, but I like Paulina Cassidy's style, and in this deck and in the Paulina Tarot, you know, the Spirit Song is obviously a little bit different, like we were saying, but I do like it's cute with a little edge, and I do like that aspect of her artwork, definitely.
I do too.
I've never owned any of her decks, but I like that too. I know I've looked at the Spirit Song before and then thought, keywords, which showed a deck that I love with keywords maybe shouldn't be such a thing, especially when it's, you know, I would be less terrified to trim, you know, a mass market deck that's just trimming off the bottom.
That's
but yeah, I like it too.
Yeah. I'll have to find a video where there's like a side by side between the Paulina and the Joie de Vivre, because I would want to see how similar they are. If I were to get a Paulina Cassidy, I had the Witchling deck at one point, which was cute, but I just never ended up using it. So
that's like an Oracle deck, the Witchling one, isn't it? Yeah,
it's an Oracle deck / kind of like little spell deck. You know, it gives you little spells that you can do, or little rituals that you can do, which is such a cute idea. And like and all the little witchlings have names, and it's adorable, but just
I think that's something that she does really well, because I say every single character in every card, and it is only a little white book, but they've all got names. So like the Five of Wands, they're called Rumble and Fray, and every character has a name. It has a little story that associates with what's going on in the card, and it's like this whole self-contained world in a deck of cards.
That makes me love it more. Tarot of the Panda does that too, and I love the Tarot of the Panda's big book where it's like, this panda's name's Dave, and he's upset for this reason. I just love that. Like, that makes the extra book worth the price to get the extra book.
That's hilarious. And I know Paulina also has like a more recent one out. Something about I don't know, Phantom something, it's not under Paulina Cassidy, but Paulina. I think she uses a different surname, but there was I
don't know what you mean, but I can't remember what it's called.
I can't remember.
Gloria or something like that. Is it?
Yeah, something to that effect. But anyway, yeah. So,
yeah, I mean, I follow her on Instagram just because I like her art style.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Phantasma.
Saying Phantasma Tarot.
Phantasma.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Does that one have more of like a circus vibe to it?
Yes.
Okay. I thought something about that was ringing a bell. So yeah.
I think it does. Yeah.
And I don't do like circusy stuff. I don't like circus aesthetic. So
I don't tend to either.
Some
I do and some I don't.
It doesn't look hugely different to this one. Not really.
No.
Or the other one. But then, I mean, I suppose that's her style, is because it's her style of art.
Right.
Replicating in different ways the same style of art all the time, which is what artists do, isn't it? I suppose.
Very true.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. All right. Shall I go?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So I feel like mine is kind of like the most obvious one, because it's, you know, because mine is the Dame Darcy Mermaid Tarot, and you know, as far as like summer decks go, I suppose what gets more summery than a mermaid deck that is all about beaches and the ocean and everything like that. But I actually love this deck. So it is a really great reader. It's one of those decks that's like themed, but despite the fact that it's really heavily themed, it reads really, really well in just about any situation. And this is one that I pretty much pull out every summer. It just feels like I want to use it. So and I love, it's not just mermaids in this deck. It's like mermaids, pirates, sailors. There's a sort of like like 18th century vibe to some of the costumes and everything. Like I love this Queen of Wands. This is like, I just love this card. And so, so it just has a fun, slightly camp vibe to it. It has that sort of comic booky style of art. And something about it feels just sort of like really loose and handmade. And I don't know. I love this deck. I love reading with it. And it's a really great deck. I feel like it's kind of a classic at this point. But I don't know why this 9 of Cups cracks me up so hard, because it's like this sort of glum looking pirate at a party, but it just kills me. So like, I don't know. This is a really great deck. So, but kind of, as far as summer vibes go, I feel like this was kind of an obvious choice for a summer deck. So yeah, this is just a great one.
How long have you had that?
Oh gosh, I've had this deck I have had it, I think I got it in 2018.
Oh, okay.
So I've had it for a long time. This copy is the 2nd edition. I have a 2nd edition and a 3rd edition. And then the current edition that's out, I don't like as much because you'll notice on this deck, it has just, like I said, this really sort of like loose handmade feeling. Like if you look at the borders and stuff, they're all irregular and kind of funky, and they're all different colors, and all the artwork is like a slightly different size. And I actually really like that about it. I like that sort of slightly anarchic feel to it. And the 2nd and 3rd editions have that. And so I have both a copy of the 2nd and the 3rd edition. But the new edition has been sort of like cleaned up. The colors were made a little less like muddy, I guess. So everything seems brighter and the borders are more regular and everything. But frankly, I don't like that. I like it looking a little more kind of funky and handmade. The 1st edition is the problem edition. Like a lot of people probably know, there was some controversy around the 1st edition of this deck because she had very clearly like not just reference, but actually like traced some artwork from the Mermaid Tarot, which was like, So for the 2nd edition, she did replace all of those cards. I mean, frankly, it's still not, not the best thing to do, obviously. So not cool, but she did change all of those cards for later editions. And just honestly, the deck itself, I love so much that it just is it's great fun to read with. And it really does read great in just about every situation, which you might think is weird for like just this really strong mermaid deck. Yes, with hot sailors. Yeah, super camp. It is super camp. Which is just, it's so fun about it. I really love this one. Yeah. I mean, it's just all shirtless. Like, look at the 7 of Swords. I mean, it's delightful. So
is it mass market now, or is it still indie?
It's still indie. It's still indie. Yeah, you can get it on the current edition on her Etsy, and I believe she has like an edition that isn't gilded, and then an edition that has like a matte gold gilding. But again, because it got all cleaned up with regular borders and everything, it doesn't have the same kind of like loose charm that I feel like the older ones had. So but still obviously the same artwork, and it's obviously fantastic artwork. So so there is that too.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, it's just great. It's just great.
I can't make up my mind whether I like her art style or not. Like the Alice, I probably wouldn't buy this one either way, but the Alice one has been on and off my wish list so much because I'm like, oh, Alice, and I would sell my soul for anything Alice, but also I'm not sure if I like the art style. So I really can't make up my mind on her art style. And also with this one, I actually like my mermaids to be horror characters.
Oh, yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
For me, mermaids are a myth out of horror, and that's what I like.
Mhm.
So anything where mermaids are cute, nice, and all that kind of
I
stuff.
like both.
That doesn't work for me personally.
Oh, that makes
Yeah.
sense. I mean, I like both. I love like the Disney-fied Little Mermaids, you know, type.
Mhm.
And then I don't see, I think that's kind of what's missing, that we don't see that other style of like more horror kind of siren murderous mermaid.
Yeah.
I would love that in a tarot deck. Just saying.
Yeah. Definitely don't have that in this deck. It really is more of like, they're camp mermaids.
Yeah, and they're like lighthearted and
Yeah.
no
I love
murder.
what Amethyst says here. Yeah, the new one has 350 card stock, colored edges, nice box, but it feels too sophisticated for the images. Exactly. Like this deck should have this sort of like homemade feel to it. Like that that suits the artwork so much. So yeah. So
You might be selling me on this one, actually.
it's just honestly, it's
I had
great.
never looked at this deck, and part of the reason that I had never really looked at, I mean, the tracing thing, like I couldn't have bought it in that form, like I couldn't have. But really, like most of the reason that I didn't look at this deck is because I have the Tarot Siren, the mini by the same ones who did the Marshmallow Marseille, and I've been kind of looking for a mermaid deck, some Pisces, and you know, like into that, but. And I wasn't happy with the ones that I was seeing. And then finally the Tarot Siren comes and it's like, oh, there's some diversity and there's like chubby mermaids. And that is what I wanted. I wanted, you know, I wanted that. And it's also a Marseille deck, which I enjoy. So I was like, perfect. And then it's like, would I ever need two mermaid decks? But now I've seen the Dame Darcy Mermaid described as a queer deck by multiple folks, which immediately, you know, pricks my ears. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to look at this again. And I think having just watched Our Flag Means Death and, you know, falling completely in love with kind of like queer pirate kind of story and seeing the deck be so piratey and not just a mermaid deck. Now I'm thinking like, oh, would this just make me so happy right now?
Oh my God.
It might.
Is Our Flag Means Death is such a perfect like new analog to what's going on in this deck, because it truly does. Yeah, I mean, like 100%. This could be a gay pirate deck, 100%. So yeah, it just really is. It's just an awesome deck. So the Hanged Man is. Yeah.
Sailors, those bell bottoms.
The sailors. I mean, it's just it is just a total delight. So.
Apparently, none of these sailors have enough money to invest in shirts, which is
that's all right. It's okay. I don't mind.
Yeah, one of my favorite, because you guys know that and I think I already showed it, but because it's one of my favorite cards. But you guys know that the Knight of Cups is a very, very important card to me. Let me just find it again, because I love the Knight of Cups in this deck, if I can find it, which maybe I can't. But yeah, it's just like the pages are super like 18th century. Yeah.
I agree, Meg. They don't need the shirts.
Yeah.
Summertime. Summer. Beach.
Oh yeah, where did I put this? Here's the Knight of Cups. Like it's this, you know, he's riding a seahorse. Yeah. He's wearing a lei. He's basically not wearing much of anything. Like, I don't know. I just enjoy that so much. And yeah, it's great. The Hierophant depicts two female mermaids getting married, which is fun. I mean, you know, it's just like it definitely does have a lot of queer elements to it. So yeah, that's the Dame Darcy Mermaid Tarot.
Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, I have looked at the Dame Darcy. I've also looked at the Alice, and I kind of am the same as Heather. Like I can't decide. Sometimes, some days I really love the art style, and other days I'm like, I don't know, I'm not sure. Like, but yeah, definitely appealing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It has the kind, like I'm very about sort of cartoony or comic-y art styles, and again, I think it's the way that this art style is so just sort of loose, you know, it is what makes it really appeal to me. You know, when everything looks a little too perfect, then I don't know, that's kind of when, you know, comic art or cartoony art doesn't appeal as much. But this one is just so like the moon. I mean, it's just very it's just sort of anarchic feeling, I guess, is the best kind of way to put it. So yeah,
You keep just like using language that makes me want to look at it. Like Queen Anarchic Pirates.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really fun deck. So
I think you have I think you've converted one person.
Yeah.
Yay! And it is a great reader for me too. Like honestly, I have used this to read for people in lots of different circumstances, and it honestly speaks to all kinds of situations very, very easily. I mean, it's like very Rider-Waite-Smith, and yeah, it just is it's a good reader. It's a great all-rounder, honestly.
How does it shuffle?
Oh, so these, I don't know what the new ones are like because the new cardstock is different. These ones, I actually love the cardstock on the older editions. They're not, they feel kind of like US Games cardstock. They have but even with a little bit more of that sort of like buttery, waxy kind of feel, you know? So the older editions, I feel like, have a really wonderful, wonderful feel to them and wonderful shuffle. The new ones, I think, are thicker, like they're 350 GSM matte, like more of what we think of nowadays as a normal indie deck kind of cardstock. But I haven't worked with one yet. So, but the second and third editions, as far as I'm concerned, have great cardstock that shuffles beautifully. Really, really nice. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yep. So if you can find an older one, like I said, I don't know, it's just kind of fun to have the funky borders and the, you know, it feels very handmade. So,
yeah, it's very charming.
That's the Dame Darcy.
Woohoo!
Cool. All right. Well, I think we've covered everyone.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Does anybody have any parting thoughts before we wrap it up? We do want to mention that our next installment of Three Girls, One Deck is going to be Saturday, August 20th. So that's 4 weeks from today. So we will be on Julie's channel next time. So look out for us next time. And again, you know, we've loved having Laura on the call today. Thank you so much for
so much fun.
Yeah, it's just so much fun to have guests. And you know, if any folks would like to guest, just get in contact with one of us here, Instagram, wherever, you know, just reach out. We love having guests because it always just makes it more fun. So so yeah. And is there anything I am missing?
I do not think so.
I don't think so. All right. Well, in that case, then we can go ahead and wrap it up. But thank you again, everybody, for attending. Thank you again, Laura, for joining us. And have a great rest of your Saturday, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.